Beth.
So my name is Iris Evan. I'm the head of school for the School for Young Performers. I've been head of school since the summer of 2000. Prior to that, on and off, I had actually taught for the school, both as a one-on-one teacher in New York City, as well as what they would call a travel teacher. So going with students that were abroad, and that was to London, Stockholm, etc., which was a wonderful experience to be part of. Really kind of espouses that idea of world schooling. My journey to kind of School for Young Performers is, I would say, a little bit off the beaten path, but I would say that that kind of fits well with our students. A lot of them are creating their own path. So I had no interest to go into going to college for academia, although I really loved math and science in high school, particularly calculus and chemistry. I wanted to go to art school. But while I was at art school, I started tutoring students in mathematics, and I started to realize how much enjoyment I got from reteaching them, like not just kind of get helping them with homework, but actually like reteaching the math and like doing logarithms without the calculator. Really, really enjoyed it. And I wasn't quite sure where that would land. Obviously, I graduated from art school. I was working in arts management, but I kept on having these opportunities in education. And that led to when I graduated, I ended up being hired as a professional tutor for my university. And with that job, it means that like any academic course that the art school provided, you had to be able to support the student. And again, that's just kind of core support skills, kind of understanding what the student needs in that moment to help them kind of break down the information and do well in the course. And that ended up kind of translating into starting to tutor for the School for Young Performers sister company On Location Education when I moved to New York. I like doing that, but I really wanted to be teaching. And so I got the opportunity to work on set. The main thing that I got to work on was the movie School of Rock. And I was kind of bitten by working with these different students and really kind of wanted to do more of that. And then someone told me that, well, they also have this school called School for Young Performers. And I was like, what is that? I was very curious. And so there was a student of theirs I got to work with a little bit. And then that summer they said, we have this pair of twins. They need a new teacher. It's going to involve you going to London, sometimes going to Miami and Atlanta, like just all over the place. And I was newly married. And so I had to ask my husband, hey, like, so I'm going to be going off and on for an entire year. Like, would you be okay with that? They're seniors, I promise. We'll be done after a year. And he said, okay, fine. I think that's part of being young, and I don't regret it for a moment.
Yeah.
Twins are now, of course, college graduates, married with children, super, super successful women. I love seeing what they're doing out in the world. And I've continued to work with School for Young Performers on and off. And then when I did have my own children, I kind of took a beat. And in 2013, they came to me and kind of said, "We want to shift the school. We really want to kind of change. We want to go beyond just working in the entertainment industry. We know you understand the families, the teaching side, the education piece. Like, let's diversify the school." And that's kind of where we started. And I do believe that we really have kind of I say we because I feel like it's really a team effort that we've helped the school evolve, and I'm really proud of like the student body that we have year over year. It might be very small, but I believe that each student is having a meaningful experience in the school, and I think in this moment it is the right fit for them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you for that very, very detailed introduction. Can you walk us through, obviously it's different for every student, and this isn't minute by minute, but can you walk us through sort of what does a quote typical day look like? Because I think for a prospective parent, they think, okay, I can look on a website, sort of
Mhm.
see what the schedule looks like, but obviously a School for Young Performers is a very different model. So can you just walk us through sort of what, again, every student may be different too, but in general, what does that look like for you all?
Sure. So I will walk you through the schedule of we have a program that's essentially called the professional program, and that's actually going to be highlighted on the website soon.
Right.
And that's kind of what I would call more of a conservatory type program. Those are students that are in the arts. They might be working professionals or aspiring working professionals. And so part of what we're trying to build into their schedule is the arts training as well as potentially a performance schedule. So for that student, she is doing a combination of regular honors and AP coursework. So she starts her day, I know, gasp, she starts at 9 a.m., but there's a reason, which has to do with her being a professional. She typically starts school 8 a.m. So she has American literature with this amazing teacher that's actually kind of piped in from the UK. And then she has a group class, AP seminar, which is a capstone class. That's with another SYPer. And then, of course, students have little breaks and whatnot. But she has, what is it? Usually after that, she has pre-calculus, and she has lunch. Then she has AP Environmental Science, her Spanish Arts and Culture class. And then that will be on one day. Like on other days, she might have some other things.
Mhm.
And then she has like an hour break, has to like quick get ready. And then she has to go to dance training, which she's she's at a really, really high level for that. If she's not going to dance training, she might be going to meet with her vocal coach. Or she might be prepping for a performance. This fall, she's actually had to go like in different places and sometimes different time zones to perform over the weekend. And so then
Yeah.
sometimes we have to change her Monday. So that's kind of her schedule. The academics are happening mostly during the school day time. But for example, on Tuesdays, she has a private dance that's all morning. And then we do school in the afternoon.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we build it that way. So that would be a student like in our
Yeah.
profession. If we have a student that what I would call like a more um, construct, but they want a high level of rigor, that student might be starting at 8 a.m. and going until 1 p.m. so that then he can be working on capstone or project work in the afternoon.
Sure.
Or might be doing work in the community. Um, I would say most of the students, their classes start at 8 or 9 a.m. and they're going until 1 or 2. And then we have like other things kind of built in for them. So they're not just kind of doing a little bit of school and then hanging out. They have a very busy but different experience than the traditional
Sure.
school.
No, that's what's fantastic. So then from like an accreditation perspective, because again, having been myself at an independent school for 5 years, all independent schools across the world are accredited, right, by these different bodies. So then for SYP, who does your accreditation, for example?
So SYP is accredited by WASC.
Okay, that's who
Yeah,
we were. Yeah.
yeah, and actually, when we were looking toward an accrediting agency, I don't know, I feel like it was almost kind of like a big interview process in a way for our end because it was
Right.
really important to find that, like, I hate keep on saying right fit, but it really was. I
Hmm.
don't want to mention the agencies, but we definitely, had discussions with a couple of different agencies, and the agency that we felt that really kind of understood our program and then we didn't feel like they were going to suddenly say, oh, well, like you guys should do it like this, or, this doesn't really fit like our agency's philosophy. It really felt, we felt heard, but we also felt that they could come to us with some really good suggestions, and they have.
Mm.
We actually, I think next year we have a self-study. I'm really looking forward to that. And I really love
Right.
the rep from WASC that works with us. She's fabulous. She's really, really wonderful.
I had great experience with the folks from WASP when we were in Cape Town, and it was during COVID, and so we did like our school tours via the iPad and stuff, and it was crazy, right? It was totally crazy times, but no, I thought the people from WASP were understanding and fair, and yeah, gave really good constructive feedback, like you said. So for you all, this notion of like school culture is big in terms of schools. Oh, we have these traditions, we do these things, Halloween was a couple days ago, so schools may have had, let's say, Halloween parades. Sort of walk me through how does SYP or how have you gone through the process of trying to sort of build that school culture since again, you don't have a physical
Mhm.
sense of school, right? Like you said, people are dancing, taking class, whatever it may be. So just walk us through how you sort of think about school culture.
Right. So one way I look at this is kind of from when I came in as head of school versus where we are today. And I say this because when I came in, we had students that were very much, I mean, I don't like to say that they were in silos, but in a lot of ways they
Mm.
were. And again, some of that might have been because of what their parents wanted or what the specific goals were, etc. And it wasn't always that way. It was just when I came in at that moment. There were previous moments in the school's history where they did have more kind of field trips and community work happening. So one of the things I wanted to do was kind of, okay, so if I have X amount of students in one city, like, can we get together for field trips? What are some experiences we can do together? Are there some classes that we can do together? And I would say actually, in COVID, we had a couple of pods, which was kind of fun. And then we also had some high school students that wanted to take classes together. And again, like I wanted to make sure that they were all going to get the most out of each class. So like I didn't want to just like throw them together. And I think it's kind of hard, whether it's in Zoom or in person, like if you're just not connecting because it's such a
Sure.
small unit. But we did do it and we did it very successfully. And I feel like the students got a lot out of it. And we continue to provide field trip experiences where we can. And sometimes we have these group classes. For example, like I said, this year we have two students taking AP seminar together. Last year they were doing Spanish together. And those two students actually, sometimes they're in the same city and sometimes they're not. So it's awesome about the world we live in today. It doesn't matter if they're in the same city,
Right.
they can connect. And I love that. So like we don't have to reschedule class. Like I just have to look at the schedule and make sure like, you know, we can get everybody on the same page and class is happening no matter where they are. And then when they are in the same city, then we make sure that they have class together. And then there's some community work that we really like to encourage our students to be doing. A lot of our high school students do that. And so like that, I feel like is them engaging with the community. And that's something I think is really important for our high school students. Obviously, if I have middle school students that want to do it, of course, you know, we support it.
Right.
But for the high school it's required. And what I like about it is not, to me, it's not about the hours. It's about engaging with the community.
Right.
And sometimes also with their peers. So that's kind of some of the ways that we do engage either within the school and outside of the school. I would like to have more of the group classes, but again, like I want to make sure like it kind of all makes sense for the students.
For sure. No, that's great. You mentioned earlier, sort of, I think you had talked about launching something on the website. I'm just curious to know, sort of, for you looking ahead, is there one or two sort of new things coming down the pike?
Right. So each year we are rolling out new courses. We're also doing outside workshops for families that we work with that are outside of our school. Those are always like fun initiatives for me. It's kind of a family might come to me and say, well, what about a workshop about not just creating businesses, but just kind of like female entrepreneurship and kind of social, you know, change agent, like how do we make that happen? And then we just kind of create the course for them and launch it in whatever town they live in. So that's something that's kind of like I would
Oh,
call
that's very cool.
it's like an incubator stage right now for students. That's probably I'm hoping that grows to like 6 to 10 students in the spring,
Right.
but something that's like a larger social initiative in that city, which I can't say until it would
No,
launch.
that's okay. Yeah, of
But like
course.
we're hoping that it like launches in a big way for 26, 27. That's what I would love to see. That's what the client would like to see.
27, sure.
Yeah, so like I said, right now I call it the incubator stage because it's just like 2 to 4 students, and then we're looking to kind of grow it. And then within the school, we've actually, so one of the things that you're going to end up seeing on there, it's called Olympiad Beta. And Olympiad Beta is essentially like when you think about like science Olympiad or academic Olympiad, where kind of it's that really like high level of excellence. I like to think of it as like this like project, but kind of I don't know, we have a lot of students that are super talented. And that doesn't mean necessarily in the arts. I just think that they're really talented and focused. And I think that any kid, if you kind of give them the opportunity to take those tools and like just like blow it up, they're gonna do it. But sometimes they need like that mentorship to kind of basically get it off the ground. And one of the students that kind of got me thinking about this was a student, he graduated recently and he was going to going into computer engineering and he was working in robotics a little bit and he wanted to create this robot, this humanoid robot. And those are hard to build. Even if you have like access to tons of resources and lots of money. When I say it's hard to build, like, you know, when we're talking about the things to learn how to do that you might not be able to just learn through Coursera, this is one of those things like
Oh, yeah.
there yet.
Right.
And he was gathering all this research and everything else, and we were like talking about it and like the things he was having to figure out. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, like, what if we just took, you know, in the future students, why don't we just take this like one step further? And then there were some parents who kind of came to me and were kind of asking the same questions. So we've already kind of started the Olympiad beta,
Yeah,
but
very
it's
cool.
on the website yet. And so, you know, one student is actually exploring like several projects. And then because he's a middle schooler, my idea was like, okay, let's explore 3 different intensive projects with mentors and then see where we land at the end of the semester. And then like for a second semester, like have like the big project. the
Mm.
things that kind of really we feel like you can take to like that professional level because kids can do way more than adults can. Sorry to myself and everyone
No,
else.
that's okay. No, yeah, no
They
offense
really
taken.
can. They're like so creative and like if they really want to figure it out, it's like you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, they'll figure it out
They'll do it. Yeah.
if they want it. And then I have another student who like he with one of our teachers was just creating a screenplay last year just for fun. And so now like I'm kind of tasking him with taking it to another level. And that's essentially like his Olympiad beta, although it's kind of coupled with a film class for him. So he kind of gets that win-win of kind of getting doing the project piece, but then kind of getting his arts credit. And then he has access to a lot of AI research in the entertainment industry. So I'm curious to see like where that goes. Again, like my first task for him is like the screenwriting. Like if we don't have a screenplay, we're dead in the water. He's working on two. So one of them, I have one dead, a certain amount of pages I want before Thanksgiving and the other one later. So very exciting projects. Obviously, a lot of the work that the students are doing, we won't be able to make public until a certain point. And that's, again, why part of the reason I'm calling it Olympiad Beta. Instead of, I don't want to call it an incubator, but it is like, we're in this period of ideation, and I really want them to be able to kind of explore things and not feel self-conscious about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's very, I think, different, if you will, right? Not just the model of SYP, but then what the students are able to do, like you were describing. I have to ask you this because you just mentioned it. You mentioned AI tools, right? And research, entertainment research, separate obviously from that, thinking about tech and your website and things, and not specific to you only, but in general, as you think about technology, as SYP thinks about technology, are there places where you feel like you all have become more nimble, should become more nimble, more efficient, things like that? Again, not just from a website perspective, but as you go out into the world to support students, to find new students for SYP, things like that.
Yeah. Well, so I do think our website's a little bit deceiving. It does seem a little bit like traditional. And again, I think a lot of that is the limitations of our specific web host, etc. But we have already really been engaging in stuff as it relates to AI. We've had students doing AI intensives. And again, some of it has been related to this Olympiad beta, some of it's not related to it. We have some parents who are incredibly savvy and some of them that are in the forefront of research for it in education as well
Mhm.
as different and other sectors. So, the way that I look at things is that number one, I don't want to like push all my students in it in the milieu. Like I want it to be right for the kid. For the families that are really into it, I said that like, look, my approach to it is developing ambidexterity between kind
Yeah.
of traditional resources, techniques, kind of understanding how to do things hands-on, knowing how to write a letter, right? It's
Right.
something as well as kind of using E4 and like having it develop something for you. And we've just been looking at some really, really cool tools, apps out there. I know there was this like hackathon that one of my students like just missed kind of, that World Hackathon Day, just missed him being able to join that. So we're looking at like when they're going to be doing that again. And, at the same time, we are this new frontier, and we are stewards of children. And I do find this like huge responsibility to make sure that we're kind of moving slowly, methodically, and making sure that there are some guardrails, making sure parents are aware of what their kids are actually really looking at, and also how they're using the tools. And again, like I think that the students in our school that are using it are becoming quite literate using AI. They're not going to say to you, "Oh yeah, I know how to use ChatGPT or
Right.
use the
Sure.
or how to use the Delta, was it the Photomath?" No,
Right.
like they know about all these different programs and they're kind of like saying, "Oh wait, I can use this and like I don't have to actually code it." And then I'm like, "Okay, that's awesome, but can we also like hand code it too? Like, can we do both?" And they're like, "Oh man, okay."
Right.
It helps that a lot of our teachers are come from like that dual background that I have
Mm.
between academia as well as the arts. So, for example, like I have a certified social studies teacher who's also got like a background in music production and knows how to use all the digital tools. And so he can kind of be like, "Oh yeah, we can use all of this, and then let's go get out the drum kit,"
Right.
right?
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think it's important to acknowledge both, right, in terms of the new frontier, but also making sure kids have sort of those base skills, right? How to write a letter, right? Like you said, sure, AI can help around the edges, but if you don't fundamentally understand how to write it, right, that's a whole different ballgame. How folks can get in touch with you again, just thinking ahead to being on a public platform. Somebody watches this, what do you want them to know about you, and how can they get in touch with you all?
Sure. So, I mean, I think that the School for Young Performers is kind of the most amazing platform for students that really kind of want to create their own path and really kind of figure out like who they want to be and like how to pursue that and how to be successful, resilient humans, not just good students, but resilient humans that are really kind of making change in the world and doing a lot of great work. And if families are interested in what we do, even if it's just to take a class, to do dual enrollment, or to possibly enroll or to travel with us, the best way to reach us is they can either go to the school's website, www.schoolforyoungperformers.org, and fill out the JOT form, or they can reach out to me via email. That's iris@schoolforyoungperformers.org. I'm always happy to answer questions about what we do, and we really welcome families from all walks of life. Also, one of the reasons why we're accredited by WASC is so that we can serve an international community, not just students in the United States.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Iris, I want to thank you again for your time. I'll be in touch probably in the next couple of weeks, like I said, in terms of moving onto YouTube just to ask for permission. I may do it in, over an email too, who knows. But again, just want to thank you for your time and wish you the best of luck.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right. Thank you.